calm, cool, collective. What a parser
Look
here.
at him. I know, right? He's just taking it all in.
Speaking of, don't make any jokes, Dylan, to what Matt just said. Don't make any jokes to what Matt just said. What do we typically go with? Is it feeding the ducks? What's up, everybody? Welcome. Get with it. Dude, yeah, Matt. Do the. How do you get the background thing going? How do you do your background?
There's certain hand signals.
Does it work? What the hell? Evan, you do it.
All right.
Do it, Evan.
I'm doing it.
Come on.
I'm doing it.
Oh, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. People that are, this goes right to my Facebook profile. So one, Matt, can we share it to the group? And if you're on my Facebook profile and you're looking at it, thanks for joining us. State yourself. Hello, who you are, where you're tuning in from. Are you drinking? If so, what? Happy Friday. Tell us what path you're walking in Bastunia if you're a real fan. Comment something. Make fun of me if you want. Welcome back to Unfound live streams every other Friday. They used to only be calling creations, but today we're drawing two characters from an upcoming young adult novel that Matt is working on. Both of them are based off of us. Their names, believe it or not, are Jorunn the Jester and Pendelve the Parser. Today, you can always ask questions. That's the first one if you're here. If you're watching replay, say replay. Believe it or not, comments help the algorithm. If you have questions, you can ask us questions of the creative process, of this story, of our comics, of our children's books, of our Kickstarters. Feel free. If not, we're just going to kind of jive with each other. Evan is going to be drawing our characters, as you can see right now. By the way, hey, Evan.
Hi.
Hey, no, but I wish I was. Evan will be drawing our characters. Matt and I will be talking about, and Evan will be talking about loglines. We're going to be talking about an audio drama we have coming up. We're going to be talking about how Evan builds in the business in characters that he draws. And we're also going to be talking about the imagination journey of kids that we work with. We're back to school. Congratulations if you're a parent and your kid's back to school now. Wow, look at you. You did it. And then we're going to talk about a raffle that we have. But before we get into these characters, Matt, what's up, man?
Not too much. It's been a perfect storm of a week, and I'm so happy to be here on this live as part of the bi-weekly tradition to move ourselves into our weekend.
Bi-weekly tradition, which we will start to become more traditioned with. We did have a challenge where it was like it turned into like once a month, and then maybe every 3 weeks, and then every 2. But we're back. How are things in Austin? How's weather in Austin?
Great. Yeah, we're in the 80s. We're rainy in September. Usually the last summer we had 60-something days straight of 100 with not a cloud. So happy about that. As try as I might to not be so impacted by the weather, my mood basically is completely dictated by whether or not it's like sunny, nice, rainy, whatever.
See, okay. Because I know Evan. I was going to say, I know Evan was going to love this one. Evan, how's the weather there?
In San Francisco, it's actually, we got a bit of a heat wave, but lately I'm actually in Alameda, which is right across the water from San Francisco, because we are redoing our floors. So
where are you staying in Alameda?
My mother-in-law just got a place in Alameda, so we're there for the time being. She's not, so.
Oh. Shout out to mother-in-laws.
Definitely.
They go on the unsung heroes. Actually, this week, my wife, who's been full stay-home momming, got to a point. She's like, I'm burnt out. I need a break. I need a vacation. And I'm like, you should treat yourself to a vacation. And for those that know my wife, this is spot on. For those that don't know my wife, this might sound weird. She planned a vacation this week and just went to the other side of the state by herself and rented a bed and breakfast hotel for 2 days. And it was 3 days, 2 nights, just by herself. Got a massage. She took a book to read. She's like, I didn't even read the book. I just kind of walked around and was in silence for 3 days.
Yeah, I love that. That is her.
Everyone's like,
Good
yeah,
for her.
that. Like, she said she was starting to have conversations with like the Midwest women that always want to have a conversation. They're in like their 50s, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "I'm just hanging by myself for 3 days as a vacation." And she's like, these 50-year-old women were like, "How did you find out that that's the secret of life this early?" So apparently that's what women need, or that's what my wife needs. All of that to say, my mother-in-law watched Keith while she was gone, so I was like full on did comic stuff this week. Feel like we got some pretty good progress. We'll talk about some of it today.
Shout out to Morgan real quick for she's gonna be playing Katie Daniels, Joan's great grandmother. Is it great? Something like that in this audio drama coming up. Also, my favorite Morgan line that I didn't hear from her, but from you, Dylan, is, "I haven't talked in a while. Am I still here?"
We were in a group of people, and she said that as serious as possible. That's still to this day my favorite Morgan line.
It's a really good one.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that audio drama today. I'm excited about it. We're going to talk mostly about these two characters that we see on the screen because the audio drama revolves around them. Logline, which we're going to talk about today. Evan, we're going to actually try to think of a logline for Pendelve and for Behind the Shroud. You get to help with that. The logline will reflect this. Matt, correct me if I'm wrong. I know you're going back and editing this book, but like first draft of this book is done.
Oh, yeah. Yep, it's done. It kind of was done twice. Like my editor said, "You need to add a lot more stuff," and I added a lot more stuff. It's double done.
Matt started this. Matt started this process being like, "Dude, I should do a short story about two characters kind of based off you and I. Wouldn't that be cool? Like 20,000 words or something like that." I'm like, "Yeah, you know it's not going to be 20,000 words, right?" And he goes, I think we can get it. Matt, what is the total word count?
As of today, 51,000 words.
You've almost tripled it.
You know me better than myself.
How does it feel to one, finish another book, two, to finish a book where I'm gonna say you have leaned a lot more into your writing prowess, right? Like especially with the fantasy in a it's much more high fantasy than the first one. How does it feel?
It's been really fun, and to be able to take a story like this and actually like have it be living in my head from really an early point, and then from my perspective, like be able to capture it in such a manner where I feel like I've actually captured it. That's like a dream for a writer. I think for most of their writing career is to go from the imagination and have it crystallize into something that's as pristine, which is cool. It's great to be there.
It's funny because that's one of the things that we're going to talk about as well with like the imagination journey with kids is like the difference between imagination and creativity, which I did not know until we started this whole thing. Imagination, something in your mind, like this picture that we paint in our mind, and then creativity is like bringing that to life somehow, right? So you had this idea up here, you brought it to life. I'm kind of curious because both of these, can we scroll out real quick, Evan, just to see these characters? Matt kind of having a Sun Wukong vibe here. Matt, which is Pendelve. Can we circle Pendelve real quick, Evan? Pendelve the parser. There we go. Is based off of Matt. Stoic. Pendelve. Stoic. Calm. How would you describe him, Matt?
Yeah. He is. So far you've hit it. Stoic. He's calm. He's inspecting. He definitely
suave, sexy.
I wouldn't say that as much. That's not the impression that he gives. You can say that all day.
I will.
Notice the name below my picture. Chalk it up to inspecting. You know, for someone to sit back and to take in an entire scene and to see what that moment needs to open people up, or for him to, in a moment, be able to grasp everything that's happening, especially when there's a lot of different personalities at once entering into a scene, and for him to be able to navigate that in the way that not manipulates it necessarily, but
like
gets the information he needs.
Yeah, like I see it as like analyzing a situation, very observative. Like when I think of like the brain, I personally see him as much more of a like a left brain kind of guy. Would you agree?
Yeah, actually, one of the big themes. Funny enough, I've been reading this Wayne Dyer book throughout the course of writing this
That is
called.
funny.
Yeah, you waited for the punchline. Well done. Um, it's called "You Will See It." You will see it when you believe it, or something like that. I always get it wrong, but it's a book about believing. Believing is seeing, and the core disagreement that Pendelve and Jorunn seem to have throughout the story is whether or not Jorunn's fixation with the idea of believing is seeing is or is not more true than Pendelve's, like, hey, no, I'm a parser. We kind of rely on facts. Like, that's a nice spiritual adage you got there, buddy. Believing is seeing. But for me, I base my conclusions on facts, and so seeing is what's important to me.
Yeah, because
So yeah, more left brain, I think that would be.
that then kind of goes. I wanted to describe the two, right? Then Jorunn being kind of the polar opposite, hippie, spiritual, believing is seeing, very right brain focus. I'd say a little oblivious, very oblivious in a lot of situations.
Huge
Childlike,
heart,
yeah, huge. I'd say
child heart.
childlike, but also childish. Like if we were showing some negative cons to it, or more cons to it. So trying to base these guys as much as possible off of us, was that fun? Did that add to the writing experience for you, or did you find that tricky to like continue to create these characters? Because after a while they take on a life of their own, right?
Yeah, going back and editing something is where I think this was most tricky, because when you create characters like this, and really to a degree they're based on us, but they're really not. They have all their own motivations, all their own momentums, their wants, their desires. They're all their own, and you set them in motion really with this inciting incident, and then the characters make the decisions that they're going to make. And I can introduce like scenes from left field to a degree that steers the plot, but not really. So in the end, after I know the destination, which the destination, even though I had this idea of the story in my head all throughout, there were plenty of deviations from my ideas on how we got there. And then we're in the end. It's like the snowball has rolled to the bottom of the hill, and then I have to go back toward the top of the hill and like add chapters and say, here's how. This is the part that I struggle. It's like the whole thing is already careened out of control, like in controlled chaos, I guess. But I don't know if that really makes sense.
No, I think it's important to note for anyone out there that you're like, man, I would love to like have a personality or have a character in this world that is, I think is very inspired by me, not based off of me. Like I think the difference there is like inspiring like gets the ball rolling, but then realizing that a character is going to take a shape of their own as we put them in different situations, right? It's always a fear of mine of like people create a character or calling off of them, and we put that to like one of the main secondary or tertiary characters. I don't ever want you to have to place an identity on it to be like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't act like that. What the heck are you doing? So it's cool to know it's like these characters take a shape of their own. On the illustrating side, Evan, when you have, I don't know how often you have to create characters that are based off of someone, like kind of what you're doing right now. Is there the pressure? Is there a part where you're like, hey, I'll get main features, but I'm going to have my creative, like, my creative flares that I'll put to it? Like, do you have that pressure?
So it really depends. There definitely are like commissions out there where I want a portrait of myself and my partner to hang over our mantle, and in a case like that, it's usually pretty important to like get likeness right.
Mm-hmm.
And you also get a lot of commissions that are like, I want me and my partner as our D&D characters, and so then you have to like convert a real person into a half orc or what have you, and so that can be a real consideration. Likeness can be really important there, but I think it's a lot of people get hung up on likeness, especially when they're learning or they're just kind of starting out painting portraiture. They'll take like a photo reference of a person to paint, and they'll get really, really hung up on making sure it looks exactly like that person. And that's, that's an exercise in and of itself, but it's not the important thing to take away from portraiture work. Instead it's more about like laying the touchstones and then sort of letting the visual expression that comes out of it speak for itself. So it's very much akin to what Matt is describing, but in a different medium.
So when you think of those touchstones, you're like, all right, Pendelve the parser, inspired by Matt, Jorunn the jester, inspired by this idiot. What were your touchstones going into this for what we're drawing here?
Can I take the fifth on this?
No, you have to be.
I mean, in the case of Dylan, it's like it's a little bit more apparent, I think, here where I'm a little bit more confident in how the character designs turned out. But things like big forehead, long nose, pointy beard. I wanted those to kind of jump out. Like, it doesn't need to look exactly like Dylan, but I want those little touches to sort of evoke Dylan if you look at the two of them side by side.
I get to plead the fifth part now. I mean, I thought you were just gonna be like, it's just the beard.
Yeah.
What about for Matt then?
Honestly, I took a lot more liberty with Pendelve. Like, I still think he kind of evokes some Matt when he's flying through the air on top of but really it's mostly just like the facial hair and a little bit the hairline is what I was going for, but a lot more liberties were taken with Pendelve than with Jorunn.
How do you feel about the liberties, Matt? Are you honored? Are you irritated?
The latest version where he's holding his glasses up, he looks cool. He looks like bad. He looks mean. So I like that. The other guy, I mean, I'm sure settled the eyes and put him in a less frightening scenario. You have to read the story to understand what's happening. I think I like that likeness less. Just, of course, who doesn't want to look cool? But
calm down, lady. Calm down. Mother of Matt's child stepping into the chat. You're right. He is fierce. We appreciate it. Evan did it great justice. I have a huge forehead. Going to Jorunn, though, because we have an announcement. A little bit about Jorunn. He is a 10-foot tall jester that's a bit shunned from the society he grew up in. He is more to himself. He is a man of the people. As all know, the name Jorunn means one who loves.
Horses.
He's a big juggler. He loves collecting rocks, believe it or not, as you can see it in this picture. And he carries with him, he's not a violent man. That's also true, and I didn't do my research. Not a violent man. He does have a weapon, which is a wooden, what did we decide it was called? A bakken? A wooden bakken, knobby. It's more suited as a cane, but if anyone knows, a bakken is a practice samurai sword. Yes, I have them. Never use them, just really like the concept of them. Probably similar to Jorunn, never use it. You can see that he has his bakken over his shoulder in this picture that Evan's drawing. And Matt, the craftsman, the fierce, sexy craftsman that he is, he went out and, I think, is it cedar?
This is cedar, yes.
Cedar. Went out on a walk, found a branch that represented this, and carved it, and created his own Jorunn wooden cane bakken. Can you show it up to the camera real quick?
There it
let's
is.
see. Can we? Hold on. How do I can't make you the full screen, unfortunately. I'm sorry. You beat me, Ted. I can't say that, though. I'm not allowed to say that. And the perfect person to say that, actually. Matt, let's see if we can do, 1 second. Let's see if we can just go here. Ooh, no, here. Go. Yeah, there we go. Look at that beautiful craftsmanship. How'd you make it?
Brought a little carving knife to the lake one day, and we were hanging out there for 4 or 5 hours, and I was just scraping away. And then had a table saw, had some had some sandpaper and a power sander. Also had a little carving tool for. Yeah, it's not going to show up, is
Hold
it?
on 1 second.
It's tough. It's tough to see.
Yeah, it says Jorunn. It
There
says
you go.
Jorunn on there. You lacquered it too, correct?
Yep, it's got a wax seal and some kind of.
And
finish, I forget.
what Matt decided to do to help us hit stretch goals was he decided to do a raffle. And really cool part is you decided to do the raffle probably midway through the month. And it was a call to action for anyone that wanted to back the Kickstarter, where your name would go into a raffle if you backed, I think after the 18th or 19th. We were sitting at around $3,000, $3,500. We finished at almost $6,000. So a bunch of people backed after this happened to have their name put in a raffle to win this Matt carved wooden Bakken. And we have a winner.
We do.
Matt, would you like to say who that winner is?
Yes. So congratulations to Sam Skelly. You're the proud new owner of Jorunn's Wooden Bakken. We'll tag you in this video. And I think you live in Austin, same as me. So you're probably going to get a package delivered here shortly.
Perfect time because she is getting married. Samantha Skelly, owner of Pause Breathwork. She is a breath practitioner, helps a bunch of ladies with breath work, like existential experiences. I'm doing it horrible justice right now, but it's a wedding present, and she won. Samantha Skelly, congratulations. You are taking home a wooden knobby Bakken. I actually had one of these as well. Matt thought it would be smart to bring this from Austin to Colorado to give to me. And I'm like, hey, man, are you putting that on your check bag? He goes, no, I'm going to carry it on. And I'm like, aren't you afraid it gets taken away in security? He's like, no, I'll just limp. And you brought it, and it made it to Colorado. And then I met you in Colorado and had to take it to Michigan. And then as I went through Colorado security, they took it away from me and threw it away. So I had one, and now I no longer have one. So Samantha Skelly has the only Jorunn Bakken out there.
One of a kind. But come to think of it, you of course you're right in hindsight. You're right. But if I saw you versus me, or if I saw Jorunn versus Pendelve working his way through airport security with and had a tennis ball in the end so it protected the point with a cane, fully a cane. I don't know if I sold it better or if you're just a little too intimidating or more suspicious. I don't know what it is, but
orange. It is a proven fact that the color orange provokes hostility. I stick to that's why people don't like gingers. Orange provokes hostility.
That's
Evan, do you have any ginger friends other than me, Evan? Be honest.
I'd have to. I think so. I don't know. I don't have a lot of friends.
I am. No, and we're
take some time to run through that list.
What did you just change, by the way? Gave me more of a smile.
Your smiling eyes, Jorun's smiling eyes. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's good.
All right, so
jolly.
Shout out Samantha Skelly. If you have any questions, if you have any statements, put them in the chat. We put them on screen, and even if you have a really funny joke, look at that. Everyone gets to see how funny Bella is. Next, I want to go into this story a little bit more with something that Evan, Matt, and myself are working on with the Tales of Bestunia. And that is the concept of a log line. So anyone that's here, both of you, you're going to watch some creative tension as we figure out a log line for the story of Jorunn and Pendelve, the book being Behind the Shroud. You might be asking yourself, what's a log line? And to answer that question, we're going to pass it over to Evan Winston. Evan,
what?
Evan, what would you describe a log line as?
An elevator pitch, but I work in tech.
Yeah, it's an easy one. Matt, do you have anything that you'd add before I tell you what I've been learning from Save the Cat by Blake Snyder?
Well, good book.
Thank you.
A short description of the story.
Yeah, and with a movie, it's typically one line. With a series, it can be a little bit longer. Like if you go into Netflix and you kind of see the bio and it's like that 2 to 3 sentences that grabs your attention and hooks you, that would be more of a log line for like an animated series. logline for a movie would kind of be like what you would see on the posters outside of the movie that would draw you in to be like, hey, what is this about? Reading Save the Cat by Blake Snyder, it's important to note that a great logline has a couple of things. One, it's one line if it's a movie. Two is it tends to have some irony to it. So you're almost wanting to bring the irony in where it like draws like, how is that possible for the person reading it? Three, it creates a mental picture for someone. Four, you kind of get across the audience and the cost. I don't know what that. I'm still reading the cost section. And then finally, it has a title in it. So, Evan, Matt, and Dylan came up with this for the Tales of Bestunia, the comic. If we turn this into a series, an animated series, when we do, it'll probably be a 2 to 3 sentencer. Matt and I also got this down to a 1 sentencer earlier this week. Evan, you weren't there, so it's going to be the first time you hear it. What do you want to do first, Matt? The log line that's a couple of sentences, or the 1 sentence one?
Let's go a couple sentences and then we'll reduce it.
This was really created by Evan and Matt, and then we gave it to our editor to give it a look. So if you're familiar with the Tales of Bestunia, the comics that we're working on right now that follow Joan, Artie, and James, if you were going to see that on Netflix and you're like, what is this about? Here's what we have that we'd initially write for it. In the era of the fall, no one in Bestunia has been born with a calling in 16 years, until rebellious Joan Daniels finds herself stuck with one. Now this young girl is forced to lean on her newfound spirit beast, misfit friends, and unwelcome father in hopes to bring back order to her chaotic world. I almost said father figure again, Matt. So that would be our log line for. No, it would be unwelcomed, Matt. Right? It would have a D in there. An unwelcomed father.
Could go either way, but I think it flows better without the D.
An unwelcome father?
Yeah.
Yeah, unwelcome.
Unwelcome. Really? Okay. Anyway, the one-liner that Matt and I worked on, Evan, earlier this week, if we try to get it to one line, is a young girl who has struggled to find her place in society gets thrown into an adventure when an unwanted gift from her dad reveals a treasure to a fallen world. Evan?
Yeah, it works. It sounds a little bit like a Final Fantasy, but yeah, it works.
Be curious, anyone listening, what your thoughts are. Here's the longer one, because part of what they say you should do. Oh shoot, there's 2 things. Part of what they say you should do is test this out on 100 people. In the era of the fall, no one in Bestunia has been born with a calling in 16 years, until rebellious Joan Daniels finds herself stuck with one. Irony. Now this girl is forced to lean on her newfound spirit beast, misfit friends, and unwelcome father in hopes to bring back order to her chaotic world. What are your thoughts? We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, please. And I'll put this in the comments so you can read it. Sometimes it's easier to read it and digest it than just to hear it. Want to do the one-liner again? I'm reading this again. I'm hearing the end words, and I'm wondering, they're kind of like hanging on nothing. Specifically, so a young girl who has struggled to find her place in society gets thrown into an adventure when an unwanted gift from her dad reveals a treasure to a fallen world. I'm losing sight of what this treasure to a fallen world, what that means. I'm not sure what our intention was on that now.
You're just talking to me in general? Or
Yeah.
Well, I would say the missing god to a society that doesn't have it would be the treasure that brings back order to this world that's in the time of the fall.
Spoiler alert.
Well, sorry anyone watching.
Yeah.
Matt asked me.
Yeah. Book 1 spoilers. Hopefully you're beyond that.
Oh yeah, dude. Book 1. If you're not past book 1, what are we doing, huh?
Yeah, we're at like book 4 now. Come on. An unwanted. I see what you're saying. I want this to be able to stand. It's hard to make it stand alone without any lore knowledge whatsoever. We're filling in gaps here. It makes sense to us. This is why we need help, right? Like an outside perspective says, I don't have enough context to understand this. We do.
Yeah, because basically the question is, if you read this, does it draw you in to want to watch it or read a full book, right? So if your name is Bella and you're out there, we'd love your thoughts. If your name is Casey, first off, Casey, hello, where are you? You're losing your top contributor spot. Yeah, we'd love to hear. So Matt, you're kind of saying Treasure to a Fallen World is where you're getting lost.
Yeah.
All right, something to think of.
Well, do we want to spend some time on this, or
We can either spend time. We can do one of two things. We either spend some time on this, or we try to figure out one for Pendelve and Jorunn, or we talk audio drama.
Let's spend a little bit of time on this. Let's give it a few.
Okay. What is
So
it you
the
like to spend
point-
time on?
And I'm going to preface this by saying I think we all work best when our ideas, however good or bad, our qualms are never kept on the inside. At least maybe some of you internal processors would disagree with that, but I think all of us, me and Dylan for sure, just need to throw bad ideas out there and not be attached to them, right? And then it either lands, it stirs something up in the other person, but collaboration needs to happen out in the open. And you can always have an Evan, like Evan, you're sitting here in the background drawing. If you're like, here's how all this is landing with me after some banter, that works great, I think. But I'd love to hear your thoughts at this point, because we've been doing the banter side a little bit.
My
Evan?
thoughts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hit us, Evan. You're about to watch Creative Tension if you're on this.
I don't know. I'm never fantastic at that kind of multitasking, so forgive me. But a young girl who struggles to find her place in society gets thrown into adventure when an unwanted gift from her dad reveals a treasure to a fallen world. I think what is missing there for me is I want to say the stakes, which doesn't really feel right because it's one line, and you do sort of label the world as fallen, which kind of sets up a doom and gloom scenario to be resolved in some way.
Yeah, and then also from Bella, and then this is the fun part of Creative Tension, and also the tough part of it, right? Is like because it can be easy to hear this, and then my initial gut reaction is to the process and not to Bella, because it makes sense, right? Context needed around the how she needs to find her place in society. She likes the no beast/beast dilemma up front, missing setting details, like where we live in this unique world. A little more specificity, and then I read that and I'm like, yeah, and then the creative tension in my gut is like, how the hell do we do this? Hell's not a swear word, by the way, if we're counting. How the hell do we do this in one line, right? Which brings in the creative tension, which is needed for any creativity to be born. So thank you. Yeah, I think Matt's. Are you pasting it to the actual one?
Yeah. I'll go ahead and do that now. I was looking up another one, a series that I think most of us know here, and I know, Evan, you love it. We've been watching it, and I've been listening to the book too. Geralt of Rivia, a mutated monster hunter for hire, journeys toward his destiny in a turbulent world where people often prove more wicked than beasts.
This is Transformers, right?
Hilarious.
I gotta Matt, if you find that good, dude, I have a very good Jack Sparrow impression, Evan. You need to hear.
Oh god,
it's good. It's good.
But yeah, Evan, close your eyes real quick.
I'll come back to it. I'll come back to it. I promise.
Okay. Sweet.
Yeah, so it's like, how do you put a little bit more about the world in it? And we'll put it back up. How do you put it? These are just the exact same one, right? How do we put more?
So for me, the most compelling part of the Geralt of Rivia log line is where people often prove.
Yeah, more wicked than beasts.
He's gone. Yeah, because it is good. It's a good flipping line. Dylan didn't swear.
Mm-hmm.
It's can't hear me anymore. My back.
You're back.
You're back,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah, it's a good line. It's a turn. It's a point of irony because he is a monster hunter, and I don't think like it invites questions. It invites questions of, oh, how so, or what does that mean, or what's wrong with the people in this world that they're worse than the monsters that this man hunts. And I'm not sure that there are those kinds like it reveals a treasure to a fallen world is just it's lacking a degree of specificity to latch onto. It's lacking a degree of like narrative friction to latch onto and say, oh, I want to know more.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Let me say too that this the Witcher logline here it's not like poetic by any means. It's very straightforward, and it captures it, but it leaves a lot to be desired from somebody who
Right.
is in the story. That like we have one line. And so Bella's comment about adding world building, what makes the story unique? Yeah, no beast.
Yeah.
Having that somewhere in there does add a flavor of, hey, this is different. This is not like everything else. An unwanted gift. This tension with her dad is something that appears everywhere. So if we can find a way to work that in, I think we've established that we want that somewhere.
A prideful, no beast young girl. Is that too many adjectives? Now I'm stuck with what you're saying, Matt, with adjectives. Or a proud, no beast young girl.
Yeah, it's one too many.
I would just say no beast girl.
Yeah. Just a
Girl
no beast
covers
girl.
young.
Or a prideful no beast girl. Or do we not? You're living in creative tension if you're looking to be like, "Ooh, this is tough."
Young no beast girl. Yeah, we could remove young because girl and young's somewhat redundant.
Yeah.
No beast girl. It does feel like a mouthful. No beast girl. But that's exactly what she is. Female no beast. A young no beast. I think it's important that maybe the she can come later, and we just say a young no beast, and then her can come later in the sentence to show that she's a girl.
A prideful girl born without a beast has struggled. Can it be like that?
Prideful.
Or just proud?
Yeah, a prideful no beast, looking for her place in the world. Prideful doesn't strike me though. I like the use of rebellious.
Mm-hmm.
That shows that she's somewhat hard-headed. A proud no beast.
Proud, rebellious, no beast.
A rebellious no beast girl. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Who's struggling to find her place as the fatty is thrown.
A rebellious no beast. Do we have to even say girl if we say her? I guess then we wouldn't know if she's older or younger, right?
I think you're noodling. I think you're zooming in too much to one clause and not really thinking about the whole sentence. Put it together first, then noodle.
A rebellious no beast has struggled to find her place in society and gets thrown into an adventure with when an unwanted gift from her dad reveals a treasure to a fallen world.
Yeah. I like the thrown into an adventure. Maybe somewhere in the second half of this, we talk about the stakes and we get back to this. Mm-hmm. Knowing that we'll get the no beast part out in the beginning somewhere, when we noodle that, we can satisfy what Evan felt like was missing as well as what Bella was missing. Thrown into an adventure that
does she get thrown into an adventure, or does her world get turned upside down?
Her world, as far as flavor of the story thrown into an adventure, as far as accuracy in a line, her world gets turned upside down. I'm not sure which one I'd be more likely to watch. It is an adventure story.
Right,
Crisis.
but the subject of this log line is Joan. It's not Pestunia. I think you want to pick that lane and stick with it.
I see. All right, let's walk that out then.
Walk what out? I have a proud rebellious. We're putting those back and forth. A proud rebellious no beast has struggled to find her place in society. A proud rebellious no beast who has struggled to find her place in society gets her world turned upside down when an unwanted gift from her dad. I shifted it to reveals the answer to the era of the fall, but that doesn't sound any better than
reveals an answer. Maybe it's reveals an answer.
You gotta think of reveals. This world is in the darkness, complete. It's just not great right now.
Reveals an answer. That is the. Keep going.
Yeah, it's almost because I think the main thing that she's gonna struggle with here is this reveals an answer that's given to her rather than her finding it herself. You got to think of someone. I would imagine you think of someone that's so prideful. It's hey, I don't need a beast. I'm gonna be the best. I'm gonna find my place in society. I'm gonna do it myself. I'm not gonna be like my dad. I can figure this out. Then she's flipping. I didn't want to swear. Given the answer rather than coming up with it herself. Does that make sense? She's gifted the god of this world to bring back to its rightful place. She doesn't really get a say of figuring it out on her own.
Yeah. Maybe instead of in the end of this, instead of leaning toward, given this opportunity to restore a fallen world, which is the best outcome, we're striving for something. We actually take a turn toward the stakes, the world implications of this thing happening, this no beast revolution. Even though we're not going to talk about this in the line, is she's now in danger. Her life is in danger. People are going to be hunting her down. She's going to be thrust into the spotlight. All these things are actually a gift that threatens her life. A gift that puts her and her whole family in peril. That puts we're already on, gets her world turned upside down, but could ultimately turn the whole world upside down. See where I'm trying to go with that?
Yes, and if the subject is Joan, and we want the irony to come from she's struggling to find her place in society, does this veer from that? It's we're struggling to find a place in society, then you're gifted something that puts your life at stake. Does that feels like it takes a weird turn towards the end.
I see. Struggle to find her place in society. That is an important theme.
Welcome to logline creation.
Yeah, whittling the essence of a story down to a single line.
I love the 3-sentence one, the 2 to 3 sentence one.
Yeah.
And maybe it doesn't need one line, right? That being said, with 15 minutes left, do we want to stick with this, or do we want to shift gears?
We're on the cusp of something. This is like, it feels like, right? I mean, I'm deep in this. It feels like the moment where if we'd feel the pressure to say we'll come back to it. Let me just think about this on my own. And I think we're in the crucible, but this could be where some magic happens or not. But are you guys in it, or are you frustrated?
What was the question?
Are you frustrated, or are you in a creative flow where you're getting closer?
Creative flow, yes, but also thinking of doing a live where we're drawing this and us sitting in like just trying to figure something out. Probably in silence. Probably not great for people here to watch Jorunn and Pendelve be created.
Point taken. Dylan has you in mind, viewers.
I care about you all out here. I think we do have, though. We have like trying to get the proud, rebellious nature. I like the world turned upside down if we stay focused on Joan. We're clearly not going to do a log line for Pendelve and Jorunn, it sounds like.
What else do we have on our agenda?
We haven't done any of it. Audio drama, log line, imagination journey, literally none of it has been done. I feel it was a waste to write all this out.
So why don't we shift gears? We have 15 minutes. Go for it.
Shifting gears. Let's talk to Evan what you're drawing right now, because you and I did talk about this, I think, when Matt left for one of our Wednesday calls.
Yes.
We were talking about like what the cover should look like. We thought maybe we should have that picture of them on this like grand adventure on Um's back. You had something different in mind, which you're drawing right now. Kind of like you said, kind of like a card. Curious, what are you thinking for a cover page, and why?
Yeah, so I had something different that I wanted to try. Not that was a confirmed. This is going to work better. And yeah, I was just kind of interested in exploring graphically dealing with Jorunn and Pendelve and treating them kind of like the face of the playing card, or even a tarot card, and seeing what could come out of that might work better as like a graphic read for a cover. Because the illustration we have of everyone on Um's back it has a lot going on. There's a lot to read there, and I think it's a great image, and it could be a great cover. But this is a novel intended for a young adult market, and so I'm just kind of trying to think of what sort of sensibilities you see in a lot of young adult covers that make them successful, shelf grabs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not really loving where this is going, but
I mean, I get what you're saying with it too, and I also like the tarot card like spin on it. How much do we know about tarot cards? I'm trying to think of like the ones that would pop up, because clearly you have the Fool. I feel like that would be a good one for Pendelve, but that's just me.
Like the front and back. I see what you're going with.
Like what would the titles be of them? So like how could we bring that in? I like that if we did it this way, it keeps. I've been having this conversation with a few people. Matt, you were included, is like who the main character of this story is, and for me, I'm pretty sure this is the answer. It is Pendelve, right? I think it can be tough to like keep the focus on Pendelve when you have what Jorunn has turned into of like a 10-foot jester that can easily draw like attention. Keeping the focus on that main character and his journey, I like that with this cover. Anything on your side, Matt, when you think cover? You're still writing log lines, aren't you?
Yeah. What do you guys think about this? No, I turned away from that reluctantly. It's about Pendelve, yes, and it's his case just as much as like any of your favorite detectives. When you read a story about them, you watch a movie about them, they're in there. They're a central figure. But Jorunn is equally, if not more important to this story in the big picture. And so as much imagery of Jorunn, like this is great, because
I think the more you're putting on this, Evan, the more I feel like it's coming together and seeing certain things. I'd probably make that rock in his hand. It's a rock, right?
I mean, I'm kind of, so you requested that Jorunn be juggling, and juggling is really hard to capture in one frame without it looking really posy. And so what I kind of chose to go with is more contact juggling, kind of stuff that you'd see from like Jareth the Goblin King in Labyrinth, with a crystal ball just kind of rolling along the fingers and finger slides, push-ups, that kind of stuff.
I love that for the. Oh, unless we lost you. Did we lose you? You still here? No, we did. Damn it. So I would have been interrupting him. Probably when he comes back, he's going to hear me interrupting him. I actually don't mind what
I'm still here.
Yeah, okay, cool. I really like what you like the contact juggling you did with Jorunn and Pendelve. My only thought, though, for now that we're looking at this like cover page, knowing the story would probably be better if in his hand was more of that hagstone, adderstone that has like kind of more of like a moldy figure stone with a hole bored through it, right? Because that's what he's constantly looking through, and where he sees the mystery of everything that's going on. Like that's where he sees, like that's what's always at the forefront of his mind. But like that small edit shows a lot in this in just a cover, where you see, for me, you see a detective on a case with a mysterious figure that he doesn't know yet, looking into something that seeks to reveal like the true case. Well, does that make sense? You know what I mean, Matt?
Yeah. This is perfect. By the way, if we're going tarot, there's a hermit and there's a justice. The beacon of order would be like if we were going to have a third figure, say back cover kind of thing. That would be the hermit for Pendelve, the justice for Saw, and Jorunn would be the fool.
I really like when you said tarot card as a hippie. I was like, yeah, I'm in. And those three seem pretty spot on. We're going to learn more about Saw being the beacon of order and like what she stands for. I mean, because to be honest, like beacon of order is like the judge. Would you say, Matt, in an area?
Yeah.
Like it goes through her, and she rules with an iron fist.
Police captain type of figure too. It's like judge, jury, and executioner.
Like a Judge Judy.
Judge Judy, executioner. I'd watch that.
Judy, executioner figure. I dig that. I mean, Matt, I'd be curious. I also do like the fact that not as much is going on, and maybe it's like an inside cover picture of like the adventure they get into, especially when you can see Pendelve here as like in his stoic self, in his like straightforward parser, and then we're like we see another picture of him just having his world turned upside down. That we have with on the back of which, Matt, if you think about it, yeah, he looks a little bit more cartoonish and more kiddish, less, but also think what he's going through in the chapter of Altered State.
Yeah, exactly.
You're gone.
Yeah.
Anytime you're typing, Matt, stop working on log lines right now.
You're gonna like what I got.
No.
Yeah, it's fair. He's in Altered State right now, and he thinks he's in space.
Okay, fine. We will read Matt's real quick. I do. A proud no beast without a place in society receives a gift that puts her in the center of a world upturning controversy.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Yeah.
What, Evan's like, whatever. Can we get back to this freaking cover? You're right. We're back at the cover. No, Evan,
this is good TV, people.
With what you're hearing from us, does it kind of reaffirm that it is that card read for a like? Do you have more confidence? You're like, yeah, I was flipping right.
Yeah, I'd say that like there are treatments that will happen when it hits value and color that I think will make the idea I'm trying to communicate clearer. That are not going to come through right now and to be expected. But yes, it's a takeaway there. And I think it's an idea worth exploring.
Bella clearly talking about the cover page right now. Says she likes it. Thank you, Bella. 5 more minutes left.
Pendelve looked cool, man. I really like him.
Yeah, Pendelve is sweet here. I could tell Matt was a little flustered from the one where Pendelve looks too scared, which he should have in that picture. Man, anything else? Last 5 minutes, Matt. Audio drama. Do we want to talk about the imagination journey of like a young kid that we work? We could probably do that on a different one, especially when we bring up more calling creations. But anything you want to touch on with the audio drama, like how you see it? Because this audio drama came to be where you had the idea. You're like, man, what if we kind of had like a table read that we recorded and then put into like, whether it's chapter by chapter, put it out there, or put an entire book out? Like, how did this come into the mind, and what do you see coming of it?
Yeah. I want to get people involved in a creative project. And for years, I've wanted to do, like, we used to put up on my TV screen, like the script for Men in Black or something. And then, like, my friends would be hanging out, drinking. We'd just be like, that's the one. And we'd scroll down and we'd each have a character and we'd read lines. And it was just, it's like just so fun to do. It doesn't seem like I have a lot of friends who want to get into voice acting. And so we have, now there's 10 characters in the chapters that I've added. There's 10 different characters that are going to have it's like, I guess it's called third person, past tense, like limited omniscience. I'm going to write a chapter.
Sexy.
You like that?
Say it again.
From third person, past tense, limited omniscience. Each chapter is devoted to getting in the mind of a certain character. And so you'll have both narration, where you read all the prose, and then you'll have your own lines. And Jorunn is amazing. It's like, maybe, I don't know if you do it now, but he reads the narration at like a 4 out of 10, where you can tell it's the character, but it's just like the character doing his best or her best to make sure that understandability is still a priority. And then when you get into the dialogue, the character then can get dialed up to like a 9 or a 10. So you really see Jorun's wiliness come out. So every other chapter, you're going to have a different voice, and then you get inside their thoughts.
Yeah, I think it's such a, because when you first told me about it, I'm like, okay, who's the narrator? And it was like quickly put across, like, there is no narrator. When it's your chapter, you'll read the entirety of it. And then, because then the question was like, yeah, but what if I'm speaking in it? And like, for you're saying, it's like, well, the narrator would be just a light version of the character, and then the character can fully accentuate himself. You know, a 10-foot tall giant jester is going to probably have like a raspy, wily voice, right? But then to be able, it's been really fun. We started a Discord channel. If you're watching this right now and you'd like access to the Discord channel just to be an observer and start to see, like, hear small scenes, let us know. And we can just give them access to the Discord, right, Matt? If they're on it? Sure. Is that simple?
Yeah.
We'll obviously do most of the communicating between the people that are reading and Matt. It's cool to watch you, Matt, be like, would that be like the director of it, where I'm like, I give you 2 different ideas and you're like, well, I see Jorunn a little bit more like this, right? So then I lean into that and you're like, hey, I like it, but now you're just being a narrator, and then can we give that? So it's been fun to kind of go back and forth, like, with this vision that you're seeing. And correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, this is what we would like to do. Is it a full book read we'll do and make it live for people, or will we do it kind of chapter by chapter to put out there?
Chapter by chapter. Video? Yeah, it'll be video. We'll do it like this. We'll stream it. We'll have a software where we can really rely on the sound quality, because it'll be recorded. We'll actually strip the sound, and that will become the eventual product once it's produced. And there's only a couple of chapters that have 4 or 5 characters, so and there's banter, and so we'll pick one of those to do live. Because there's also plenty where it's just Jorunn, or it's just Pendelve.
It would be interesting though to have, like, maybe when it's all done, just we get everyone together on a weekend. We have maybe a couple of adult sodas, and we get to riff, because that would be fun for content in general. I have been working on this, and it's a good one to end. I won't do Jorunn. I'm not going to do Jorunn, but I can do a Jack Sparrow impersonation I've been working on.
Oh, please don't.
It's good, dude. It's the one that I have down. Will you actually entertain this, Evan?
I mean, I'm listening.
Okay, because they actually have like voice acting classes that you can get on, and I'm like trying to take as much free content as possible. And they do say one of the difficult parts is when you're a personality and you're trying to do a voice acting, you're doing it right now, Evan, is you automatically tie the personality of the person speaking, right? So it's like you're seeing me, you're thinking of me, so you have to reason with me here. Stop drawing. And I do need, because when you would hear me, your eyes wouldn't be looking at me. So I need you to close your eyes. Could you actually do this, or are you gonna?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you actually closing your eyes?
Yeah.
Okay. And you do no. Are you? You're zooming in.
I can't. This eye is really bothering me. I'm listening. Okay, I'm done. I'm done.
Are you actually going to?
Yes, I'm done.
Okay, cool. Eyes closed, and if you're tuning in, eyes closed, and you do have to have that picture in mind of Captain Jack Sparrow, Johnny Depp, Captain Jack Sparrow on. You can have a scene from Pirates of the Caribbean in mind, right? It doesn't have to be an exact one, but just being able to picture a pirate ship, picture Captain Jack Sparrow as a pirate. But you got it, Evan?
Yes.
Okay. Your eyes are still closed?
Yes.
All right. And you can't be thinking of me. You have to keep that picture in mind.
Yeah.
I'm Johnny Depp. I'm Johnny Depp, and I'm Captain Jack Sparrow.
I'm fucking hate you.
I've been working on this joke for 2 weeks now. When I gave it to Matt, he had his eyes closed and everything. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in this week. We appreciate you being here. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Thank you.